This is Roster Castanado interviewing Sal Viscuso at the Burbank Hollywood Show. I'm a big Dom DeLuise fan, and my favorite Dom DeLuise film is Fatso. What was it like working with him in that?
Well, we had to control his eating. That was the biggest thing. We made bets on how we could keep him away from the craft service table. He could not have been more generous, sweet and funny and kind and supportive and silly like a goose, and goosed me literally. But we loved him. He was really one of the kindest people I've ever worked with.
Cool. Do you have any memorable moments from working on soap?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you right now. This was my very first episode, which we shot on August 2nd, 1977. And the producers came up to me after we shot it. They said, "We're going to have to reshoot it." I go, "Why?" He says, "People were laughing so hard they couldn't hear any of the jokes. So we reshot it when the audience went home." So that was my first experience with this. And my other one, I had an episode where I had a very long monologue, and they let me do it. And then they had Harold Gould in the same episode with a monologue almost as long. So it was a toss-up on whose monologue was going to go. Mine got cut because he was the senior performer. But what I did get to say was really wonderful because Susan Harris wrote it. So it didn't matter. It wasn't the quantity, it was the quality.
Really nice. That's great. And how are you cast in Fatso?
Well, that was easy because Ann and I became friends. So she says, "You want to play my brother-in-law?" I go, "Yeah." And he's, "Sure. How did I get Spaceballs?" Mel called me up. He says, "You want to be in the movie?" I go, "Yeah." And he says, "You're only getting $2,500 a week. Shut up. You're going to work a lot. Don't ask me for more money. I'm going to put you in the first desk. You're going to get zapped in the balls. What else do you want from me? Don't ask for any more money." And that's how I got Spaceballs. Husband and wife, remember?
That's right.
So they operated same. The two of them.
Nice. Can you please tell us stories about when you were working on Fatso and you would be at Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner's house, and how Ann would send the craft services while you were working on the film?
We had Italian craft services. So everything was like roasted peppers, prosciutto cut paper thin, provolone, the kind that burns the roof of your mouth just by looking at it. It crumbles like the marble quarry in Carrara, Italy. You want me to keep going?
Sure. Okay, go ahead. Sure.
We had fresh bread brought to the studio because Ann did approve of a bakery here in LA. Hot Italian bread. I'm spoiled. You're not going to get that anyplace else. So, yeah, she set the bar. Annie made us. I don't know if I answered your question, but I miss her very, very much because she was from the Bronx, where my mother was from. My mom, Lucy, was confirmed in Mount Carmel. Annie went to Catholic school there. Anna Louise.
Italiano.
Yeah.
Right.
Really, Napolitan. She was great.
Nice. What inspired you to become an actor?
Okay, it's easy. My best friend in high school, Brad Miller, senior year, he goes, "Listen, our drama teacher's asking for a guy who's loud and funny, but that's it. That's not it. If you get the part, you get to kiss our head cheerleader who doesn't even know you exist, Sandy Beiersdorfer." And I got the part, and she was a great kisser. I kept trying to find ways of rehearsing with her, but she never wanted to rehearse. Why? Because she was the girlfriend of my paisan, Nick Piagentini, who was our high school quarterback. But the two performances we had where we got to kiss, she was sublime. And I was a young kid, so I hadn't been with too many girls at the time. I was like 17, but she was a great kisser. So kissing Sandy Beiersdorfer was an initial impetus to wind up becoming an actor. But a year later, I was in college as a freshman, and I saw a performance by the late actor Ivan Dixon, who used to be on Hogan's Heroes.
Right, yeah.
And he was one of the only two black actors on TV, along with Bill Cosby at the time.
Right.
I was so moved by Ivan Dixon in The Final War of Ollie Winter, where he played a soldier in Vietnam who met an untimely death. And I turned to my friend Ginger Drake. We were both watching it. I was sobbing. I said, "Ginger, I got to do this." And she said, "Well, they have auditions in the drama department tomorrow. Why don't you come?" And I said, "Okay." And I walked in the drama department. They handed me something to read. I read it. The two guys, the writer and the director, look at me and go, "Who are you? Where have you been? We don't know you." And gave me a big hug. I swear to you, I felt like I found my family. I felt like I finally belonged somewhere. Because in my house growing up, everybody was screaming and nobody was listening, and they didn't pay any attention to me. I went 3,000 miles to get away from them, from New York to come to California, and I literally found where I belong. And here I am, a professional, 51 years later, and lucky enough to have soap that put me on the map.
It's really nice.
And I got soap a year after I had that dinner at Carl Reiner's house. Literally, and you know, my ex-wife Tess, I said to her, the dinner, what do you remember about the dinner? She says, I remember everybody was yelling, but no one treated us like we were unusual or that we were odd or like these young kids. We were treated like part of the table. That's a nice memory, huh?
Yeah.
We were treated as equals.
That's really neat.
And Mel treated me like an equal, yelling at me when I did Spaceballs. You sit over there. Don't ask me for any more money. And that's the way he talked at the table. Same guy.
Good.
So I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be yelled at by Mel Brooks.
That's cool. And what part of working on Fatso would you say was the most memorable for you?
Oh, there's no question. When we sat around and we ate and we talked to each other as people, which wasn't much different when we shot. Oh, when we shot the cemetery scene.
Yeah.
And I remember there's a scene where I'm leaning on. I told Annie this really happened in my family. Somebody died. Vinny, take me with you. And the woman, the heavyset woman in our family, wanted to throw herself on the coffin as people were dumping in the dirt.
Yeah.
True story. So, I mean, I didn't get to do that in the movie. But with my Peggy, who was fighting with me to take the flowers out of my hand, I remember somebody fighting at one of my family's funerals, but I don't know if it was flowers, but they were arguing at the gravesite. So those two memories happened in my life and my crazy family in the Bronx. And I remember it. Thank God I got therapy to help me balance, make some sense out of this crazy shit.
Huh. That's great.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. What a pleasure.
Pleasure. Well, there you have it. That was Ross Castanato interviewing Sal Viscuso.